Welcome to my YouTube channel where I take you through research methodology from start to finish, making it easy for even a novice to understand what research is. In today's video, I'm going to take you through the stages of research methodology. It will be in batches. This is part one of the components or the stages of research methodology. Now, in this one, I will also explain to you what it is, what research methodology, the work itself, what structure, what form, what framework does it look, does it take? That I'm going to explain in this study. So let's look at the subject matter today. Is to make you understand what academic research looks like from start to finish. And that is my aim. Just want to make you understand what research methodology is. It is not enough to say carrying out research. What is it? How does it look? What are the stages? You can't even understand that if you do not understand research methodology in respect with respect to the etymological terms. State by state, what is research methodology? Where did it start from? How do you go about it? You just need to appreciate those terms. And what I mean by that is what I want to show you in a minute. You'll see how research methodology looks like. This is a structure. This is a schematic research diagram for research work. This is a schematic. This is how it looks. From the research problem, it goes to the topic, from the research problem to the research problem, and to the research topic. From the research topic, it moves to the introduction. Introduction has two wings, the extrinsic concept and the intrinsic concept. And then the intrinsic concept has two ways to intrinsic, which I'm going to explain to you. It has two ways, an independent variable and then the dependent variable. And then the extrinsic concept has two also, moderating variable or suppressor variable. If you have a suppressor variable, you will have a moderating variable. If you have a moderating variable, you will have a suppressor variable. But in some work, you may not have these two. You will only have dependent or an independent variable. Then you have the indicators. You move down to the indicators from the independent variable. You can see indicators within the suppressor variable indicators or to the variable indicators. Indicators, I've explained to you what indicators are if you look at my previous video. Check how to formulate research questions in my video channel. It goes there. Type into my video channel, the senior, that is www.youtube.com. Then /Abel. You will see Abel Senior, you will see my videos there. Check. You will see how I explain them in details. And then from there, you get the item dimensions, or what I say, you can say, oh, factor dimension. It's either item dimension or factor dimension. From that point, you begin to move into the research questions. From the indicators, you get the research, you flow with the objectivity, you get the research questions, and then the instrumentality, that is the questionnaire you're going to come up with. That will also metamorphose into the statement of the problem. Those indicators, you get the statement of the problem. You measure the measures in the statement of the problem. From there, from the research questions that have already been returned, those questionnaires that the respondents looked at or answered, when they return them from there, you get, you can formulate your hypothesis from there. Then from the hypothesis, you now carry out your bivariate analysis. And when the instruments come, when they are, those instruments you administer to the respondent, by the time you get them back, you carry out the univariate analysis. From there, which you get the hypothesis, and then of course, bivariate analysis, which is analyzing the hypothesis using a regression analysis by regression anyway. Then you either accept it from the univariate, you move on to the findings or the result. After you must have bivariantly analyze your hypothesis, and from the findings, you're going to the special findings, and from there you're going to conclusion, and then you recommend. But do not forget that from the independent variable, you also have the concept development. From that independent variable, dependent variable, positive variable, and then suppressor variable, you have the concept development. That's where you begin to explain what these concepts are. Then the concept we explain, we're going to the qualitative meta-analysis. It is not the meta-analysis as we know, where you begin to look at the works of people and then to see how this work differ one from another. Not that. This one is you are looking at the work of other people as it relates to your own. As it relates to your own. The empirical review. You review those empirical work of other people and then relate them to your own. And then you look at the summary of the review. So this is basically the schematic diagram of your research. A lot of people have contacted me, oh, they want to understand this, and I don't understand. Well, it is. I would say it is not, we all have different level of understanding, but if it is not explained, you may not understand. And now I'm giving you the explanation. So starting with a research problem. Research problem is what you see in the society as either a problem or as good. It may not be a problem. It will be a problem or it may not be a problem. It's not even, or it could be a solution. Whatever you see that is not good and you don't like it, it's creating some societal menace. That is a research problem. Then, even when things are going normal, the government are doing well, they are administering the wealth, the commonwealth of the people, there's life, there's food, there's industry, there's work, no unemployment, fine. You can also extract an issue there. You can also say, oh, it is good to retain this status quo. So what do we do to retain this good situation? It becomes a research problem. What you are going to suggest is a solution. Then when there is a problem and you need solution, it's also a research problem. Then you transmute that research problem to a topic. Research topic. Research topic, I want to show you an example. Example of that, a research topic. Look at it. It says profit sharing and water efficiency of oil and gas sector in River State, Nigeria. So that is a topic. Once that topic comes, the next thing you look at is, okay, introduction. The introduction here, which is not the general introduction in conventional general introduction. Yeah, you say, oh, we have the background of the study, we have the statement of the problem, we have the research objective, we have the research questions, we have the research hypothesis, we have the significance of the study. We say, oh, the scope of the study. Is it a geographical scope? Is it a content scope? What is the content scope? What is the unit scope? All these ones I've mentioned are under the general introduction. But that's not what I'm talking about. Introduction core as it is. Because when you are writing an article, you have the introduction, you have the body, and then you have the conclusion. Here, there is an introduction. The background of the study is different from the introduction. Because the background of the study scores three things. We are telling the reader the importance of the subject matter interest of that very work, which I call the dependent variable. How important it is to the individual, to the organization, to the industry, to the nation, and then to the world. Number two, background study talks about what could affect that very subject matter, the dependent variable. What are those things? What are those states? And so these are the second part of the background circuit. Then you now know that it is the independent variable. Now, the independent variable, how is it behaving? How does it vary, affecting the dependent variable? So when you write little about that, you have already introduced yourself to the statement of the topic. However, that's not what we're talking about now. I'm just explaining the schematic diagram of the research methodology here. Use research. Now, from that topic, we now go into introduction, as I said. The introduction is like the best way to describe it is like a proposal. It's not a research proposal. It is a futuristic act which you want to carry out. The topic comes in. You say one or two things around the topic, one or two around that topic, and then you tell the reader, oh, I intend to carry out this thing in River State and Nigeria, and of course, the population I'm looking at is this population, and I will use a particular pattern or a particular formula that Christian Morgan table or the Yemen to determine the sample size. This is what I want to use. So this is the tool I want to use. The tool I want to use to analyze the work. Oh, I will also look at the hypothesis. If it comes out, I want to analyze the hypothesis, the bivariate analysis. And of course, I will also discuss the outcome of the result and all that. You begin to explain, oh, the work itself has this kind of design. I will use either the survey design pattern or I will use a case study. Futuristic terms is used in the introduction, while the conclusion uses past tense because you've already done what you've introduced. Those things you told the reader that you want to do. In conclusion, you told that you've done them. Then abstract is another executive summary of the conclusion because the reader does not have time. So you want to know whether that your work will be useful to him or he will get anything. So he goes into the introduction. From the introduction, he has known whether to read or not. Or he goes to the conclusion of the work. Or he goes to the abstract, which is the executive summary of the work. Or he goes to the key words under the abstract, the key words in your work to know whether he will read it or not. So basically, that's the introduction. The introduction uses, as I said, futuristic terms. I will, I will, I will. The introduction gives us two things: intrinsic concept or extrinsic concept. Two things. The intrinsic concept gives us what we call the variability. Variability means you want to form the variables. Now, intrinsic because the variables, dependent and independent variables, are extracted from the topic. The independent dependent variables were extrapolation from the topic. For instance, let me just go back to the previous topic we discussed. Look at it now here. We see profit sharing and work efficiency. The independent variable is profit sharing because profit sharing impacts on work efficiency, which has become the dependent variable. So since it is from the topic itself, then it is intrinsic concept. Let's go back to our schematic diagram. So the introduction has given us the intrinsic concept, which is dependent and independent variable. The extrinsic concept is the ones that are outside the topic. That you just imagine, oh, the moderating variable, what is that variable that would either encourage the relationship between dependent and dependent variable? And what is that could discourage the dependent and independent variable? Any of these two, the moderating variable or the suppressive variable, are all extrinsic. But as I said earlier, it is not compulsory you have these two. You can, if you have the independent variable, then you must have the dependent variable. If you have the moderating variable, then you should have the suppressor variable. Because these two, suppressor and moderating, they work not side by side, they work on the opposite end. Then moderating the dependent and independent variable also work at opposite end. They are not together. It's like good and bad, advantage and disadvantage. So if you have an advantage in any subject or in any phenomenon, then you have the disadvantage. Okay, that's what I mean by moderating variable and the support factor. I've explained this in previous videos. Just go to my previous videos, look at them on even how to form the hypothesis, how to come about the dependent or independent variable. How do you structure them? How do you structure your conceptual framework? That has been explained in detail. Go to my YouTube channel and listen to them so that you will understand what I'm saying right now. Now you could, from the independent variable, dependent variable, moderating, and suppressor variable, you have the indicators. The credit indicator. Indicators are those things that could make you understand the variable when you see them. And once you get the indicators, then you begin to ask your questions from the indicators. Now, the dimensions are usually the indicators of the independent variable, while the measures are the indicators of the dependent variable. The independent variable have dimensions, and then the dependent variable have under it measures. These measures and dimensions could either be factor dimension or factor measure, or item dimension or item measure. Let me explain to you what I mean by factor dimension. Factor dimension like this. You have the independent variable here, which is profit sharing, and then you have the indicators, that is those things that explain to you what profit sharing is. I've already explained it in my previous videos how to get the dimensions. And then you also have under it, by side of it, is the criterion variable, which is the dependent variable, worker efficiency. And under the worker efficiency, we have cost efficiency, resource optimization, we have time cost and effort. And you don't have anything under it, under these dimensions and measures. Then they are factor dimensions. That's what I mean by factor. Then I'll try to explain to you also what the extrinsic variables are. Extrinsic means you did not get these variables from the topic. You can see your organizational factor, worker need, company size, company policy. They are not directly on the topic. You just imagine it and you tell they are suitable to be a moderating variable. Then look at the suppressor variable itself. Suppressor variable, which is the intervening variable, if you like to call it. It's look transcendence factor, and then we have endorsing factor. These two are not on the topic, so they are extrinsic, external. Let's go back to our schematic diagram. Then the item dimension looks like this. Item dimension. You can see profit sharing, current distribution profit sharing plan is an indicator of profit sharing. Then under this indicator, you have other indicators, 6 monthly, yearly distribution, monthly distribution. This employee distribution profit sharing plan is another indicator of the profit sharing. And under it, you have non-taxable account, vesting account, free contribution. So this is how the item dimension framework looks like. You know, for the dependent variable corner, we have the worker efficiency, that's the dependent variable, and under you have cost effectiveness. Under the cost effectiveness, you have indicators like input-output relationship, goal achievement, value cost relationship. These are indicators of cost effectiveness, not work efficiency. The indicator of worker efficiency is the cost effective. Then we have the material optimization. Under the material optimization, you have the value cost relationship, less material utilization, cost saving, lower investment. These are indicators under the material optimization. So you can see the item dimension structure of the conceptual framework. This is how it is. The architectural design of the item dimension is different from the factor dimension. But the factor dimension takes you, it makes you it makes you look, it takes you to it takes you to the item dimension and factor dimension. This one trying to explain what and what that are indicators. But if it's a factor dimension, it does not have other indicators under the dimension. If it is factor measure, it does not have indicators under the measures. But if it has indicators under the measures and dimensions, then it is item dimension. I would like to stop here and then we'll continue in the next part. Just look out for the video as we continue from here. It's important that you understand the step-by-step, the schematic diagram as it relates to research methodology. I'm Dr. Abel Simeon. I am a COE of Amon Consulting Limited. I am also a doctoral research fellow for the Corporate Institute of Strategic Research. I'm also the director of planning and strategic research for the Institute of Professional Industrialist Management Development. So you're welcome at any time. You could just ask any question. If you like what I've presented to you, you could just click the like button. You could also share the video. And then if you have any questions, please resort to just send them to my email addresses as see them here, Brother Abel at gmail.com or abelsimeon at cisr.org.ng. .org.ng, or you could send it to Abel Simeon at IPAMD, Institute of Professional Industrialist Management Development, where I am the director of strategic planning and research. Then you can also send it to CISR, that's the Corporate Institute of Strategic Research. Just send it to that way. And I would attend to your questions. Thank you so very much for listening. See you in the next video.